This is Chapter 2, and Section 1 involves using properties of exponents. In Algebra 1, you already reviewed all of these, so we're going to go through these again, real brief. Whenever you have the same base, such as we do here, and you are multiplying with exponents, we're going to make one simplified answer so that you have one base and one exponent. And when you multiply the bases together, you're just going to add the exponents. So here are some practice problems. We have the same base of c. So we're going to make one base of c, and we're going to add the exponents together. And if there is no exponent, remember it is a 1, so 1 plus 4 is 5. Down number 2, we have the base of a 2. So we're going to keep the 2. Because we're multiplying, we're going to take the exponents and add them. 3 plus 5 is 8. Number 3, we have two bases that are alike, so we'll start with the first one of a, and we'll add the 5 and 6 together, which is 11. And then we have a base of b, and 2 plus 8 is 10. If you were to get one of these problems on NACT or MME, we could actually eliminate some of these choices right away. So let's start with the A. We have 2 plus 6, and that is 8. And you can tell that you can cross off letter A, C, and D right away, and you'll be done with this question. So the answer is B. And I will take you through the rest of the problem just so you can see it. So now we go with the B's. We have 9 plus 11, and that is 20. Then we start with the C, which there are no other C's to combine it with. So that's going to stay as a 4. And the same thing goes with the D. That'll stay as a 7. Rule number 2, we have an exponent here, but it's raised to another exponent. And when that happens, you just multiply this exponent onto that one. So in number 1, we have the base of an m, and we multiply 2 and 3 together, which is 6. Number 2, we have the base of 2, and we have 3 times 6, which is 18. In number 3, we have 3 different things in the parentheses, so that means the 9 needs to go on every single one of them. So we have A, we have 3 times 9, which is 27. Then we have B, 5 times 9, which is 45. And we have C, remember if there's no exponent, it is a 1. And 1 times 9 is 9. Again, a multiple choice question. We have the 10 going on to everything inside the parenthesis. So now we have A, 3 times 10 is 30. And before you keep going on with problems, see if you can eliminate any of these, which you can, C and B. And then B gets a 10. And as you can tell, A gets crossed out and you have your answer already. But we'll continue with it. Now we have C, which is 5 times 10, which is 50. And then D, there's a 1 there, so it is 10. Now when we use all the rules together, it can be a little complicated. But I want you to work inside the parenthesis first, just like please excuse my dear Sally tells us to do so. So inside the parenthesis here, we have an exponent of a 3, and we're going to put that onto everything. So the 4 gets a 3. The 3 gets times by the 2, which is 6. And the 3 gets times by the 1, which is 3. And then we can bring this down, which is x to the 5th. Now let's simplify this even farther. And let's make the 4 to the 3rd power a number. And in your calculator, you can put 4 times 4 times 4. Or you can do the 4 with the caret symbol to the 3rd power. And that'll give you 64. Now I have two x's here, so I want to put one x. And we have 6 plus 5 because we're multiplying here. So that is 11. And then we have y to the third, just by itself because there's no other y's to combine with. Number 2, we have 3 squared, which is 9. But before we do that, we need to work inside the parenthesis first. So this 3 goes on to everything. So we have 2 to the third power. And then we have y to the third power. And now let's bring down our 3 squared y. Remember, this is all being multiplied. Let's work with the numbers first. We have 3 squared, which is 9, because 3 times 3. And then we have 2 to the third power, that is 8. And because we're multiplying all of these together, 9 times 8 is 72. Now we have y, and then we have y to the third. So we have, remember the 1 is there, it's just not shown. We have 1 plus 3, so that will give us 72. Y to the fourth is our final answer. Number 3, we have the exponents going on again, but inside the parenthesis, I notice that I have 2 of the same base, and we're multiplying. So I'm going to make it 1, and it's 3 plus 4, so that's 7. And now I'm going to multiply that 7 and 5 together to make 35. And then I'll bring down this 4x squared. Okay, and last, the 4 just gets put on the answer. And we have 35 plus 2, so we have x to the 37th power. Okay, now that we have 0 and negative exponents, 0 exponents are the easiest thing to do because anything raised to the 0 power is 1, unless it is 0 to the 0 power. That is the only case where it will not equal 1. It'll just be 0. So 3 to the 0 power, it's 1. Remember, the 0 gets put onto everything, but that does not matter because negative 10 to the 0 power is 1. A to the 0 power is 1. So our overall answer is 1. 4,567 raised to the 0 power, well, that's still 1. 0 to the 0 power, hopefully you didn't say 1 because that is the only case that you cannot have an answer of 1. 0 to the 0 power is just 0. And even if you have a fraction, negative 3/4 to the 0 power, that is still 1. Negative exponents are a little different. We do not want to leave our answers with a negative exponent. We always want positive exponents. And so there's a rule to help us transition that. If we have a negative exponent, all we're going to do is flip it. And so as you can tell, this a to the negative n, if we were to flip it, I mean, of course, right now it is on top of a fraction bar. And if it was flipped, it'd have to go to the bottom. And when you flip it, this exponent becomes positive. And there is a rule here that says, but a cannot be 0. So if we had 1 over 0 raised to whatever exponent, you can't do that because we can't divide by 0. That is just, there's no solution. So in number 1 here, we have 2 raised to the negative 5th power. Right now this is on top, so we're going to go to the bottom. And that 5 becomes positive. And when you have nothing left on top of the fraction, you're just going to put a 1. And now if you take it further, you have 2 to the 5th power. In your calculator, that equals 32. Number 2, we have 5 raised to the negative exponent, which is fine. It's just a variable. So we're going to flip it again, and that x now becomes positive. And you couldn't take this any further, so this is your answer. Number 3, we have 0 raised to the negative third power. And if you got into the habit of flipping this, if you notice, we have 0 on the bottom. And you cannot divide by 0, so the answer is undefined. Number 4, we have a fraction, 1/3 to the negative 2 power. And I like to write out the fractions where I can actually see which is on top and what's on bottom. The computer doesn't allow us to do that. So we have negative 2 going on to the 1. And we have that negative 2 going on to the 3 as well. And so we have both things with negative exponents. We need to flip them both. So they're going to change spots with each other. And the exponents will now become positive. And we can calculate this out. 3 squared is 9. And 1 squared is 1. So the answer is 9. Number 5, we have the negative 5 going on to everything inside the parenthesis. So we have the negative 5 on the 5, and we have the negative 5 on the A. Now, both of these have a negative exponent, and they're both on top. So they're both going to go on to the bottom. So we have 5 to the 5th power, and we have A to the 5th power now. And the last thing I would do with this problem would be to calculate what 5 to the 5th power is in your calculator. And that is 3,125. And then A to the 5th. Our next problem is a fraction. There's no parentheses going on. My suggestion to you would be to take each individual thing going on here and decide whether it flips or stays. So look at the 1. Does it have a negative exponent? No, it doesn't, so it's going to just stay where it is. The 9, it does not have a negative exponent, so that also will stay where it is. The x has a negative exponent, so we're going to flip it. We're going to put that on top with the 1, and it becomes positive. Same thing with the y, that's going to be flipped to the top and become positive 8. And so our answer, if you want to rewrite it, would just be 1/9 x to the 3rd, y to the 8th. You could put the fraction bar all the way over, but when you don't have anything underneath of this, this is saying that it is on top. So this is your answer.